In my previous video, I mentioned that Destroyer Oil can activate the armor skill Grinder S, since Destroyer Oil now restores 20 hits of sharpness. I also mentioned that there are two sword and shields where Destroyer Oil Grinder S build can work, Ibushi's and Lucent Nargacuga's. The Ibushi sword and shield had the advantage of having 0 hits of white and a level 2 rampage slot, but had the downside of having no slots, whereas the Lucent Nargacuga sword and shield has good slots but has 10 hits of white and only level 1 rampage slot. I will show off a build for each weapon, but first let me explain how a Destroyer Oil build works. At the start of a hunt, you will fight the monster as normal until your sharpness level turns blue. At this point, you want to use Destroyer Oil as soon as possible. This should restore your sharpness back to purple, which should activate Grinder S. You can tell that you activated it when the text box appears on the right side, and when you see the symbol above your health bar, indicating that you have the Grinder S buff. Then you continue to attack the monster until your sharpness is blue, apply Destroyer Oil to refresh the Grinder S buff, and repeat. This sounds simple enough, but you don't want to have to apply Destroyer Oil too frequently, since you'll spend too much time applying it. It also wastes wire bugs, and you aren't taking advantage of the full duration of the Grinder S buff. On the other hand, you don't want to have to apply Destroyer Oil too infrequently, since the Grinder S buff may wear off before you drop down the blue sharpness. Thus, this brings up two questions. Should we build for any sharpness management skills like Razor Sharp or Master's Touch? And should we build for Grinder S level 2 or level 3? Recall that the only difference between level 2 and level 3 is that the buffs last 30 seconds longer. Ideally, you would only want to apply Destroyer Oil around the time your Grinder S buff is about to expire. And unfortunately, I cannot give a definitive answer on how many sharpness management skills and how many levels of Grinder S you will need in order for this to happen. This is something you are going to have to optimize for yourselves when making your own builds, since everyone will have their own playstyle. So keep that in mind, as I will now show you an example build using the Ibushi sword and shield. Now I've decided this time to just take a screenshot straight from the armor set search itself, since there's like 4 pages of skills in my build in-game, and I don't feel like capturing all of that. The two builds will also be linked in the description of this video. Anyways, here's a build using the Ibushi sword and shield. Notice that we have Razor Sharp 3 and Grinder S3 in this build. Razor Sharp 3 is a happy middle between Master Touch and no sharpness management skills at all. Also, the Flaming Espionage Arms comes with 2 levels of Razor Sharp and a level of Intrepid Heart, which is one of the best defensive skills in the game. Grinder S3 is there just for extra comfort and ensuring that your Grinder S buff never expires, but feel free to reduce it to level 2 if you don't think you need the extra 30 seconds. The build also has a level Wind Mantle, which will help out with the extra wire bug juggling you'll have to do, and a level of Powder Mantle for a little bit of extra damage. Assuming we Curious craft in level 4 attack boost for the Ibushi sword and shield, and gem in the appropriate anti-species decorations, we have an EFR of 793.968 without Offensive Guard and Grinder S, 905.12 with Offensive Guard, 873.365 with Grinder S, and 995.636 with both Offensive Guard and Grinder S. If you compare the EFR to the Lunatic Rose build I showcased in my Ninja Master Sword video, you'll notice that you'll have to keep the Grinder S buff active to start out-damaging the more standard builds, but once you're able to maintain the Grinder S buff properly, you can dish out a lot of damage, especially if you can find a way to get to 100% affinity. Now for the build using the Lucent Nargacuga sword and shield. First, I'll show off the equipment and decorations, and now the list of armor skills. The build has nearly identical skills as the last one, except this time we have Agitated 3 this time due to the extra slots from the weapon. Again, assuming we Curious craft in the Rampage slot upgrade and the level 2 attack boost, and gem in the appropriate anti-species decoration, we have an EFR of 812.340 without Offensive Guard and Grinder S, 923.758 with Offensive Guard, 893.974 with Grinder S, and 1016.134 with both Offensive Guard and Grinder S. If you want to know the EFR with white sharpness, then divide these numbers by 1.053. The Lucent Nargacuga build with purple sharpness is slightly better compared to the Ibushi sword and shield build, but once you drop down to white sharpness, it does start to fall behind, and you'll have to be in white sharpness anyways half the time if you want to use Grinder S. Fortunately, the Lucent Nargacuga sword and shield has some poison damage to make up for this, so it's hard to say what's the better weapon. Regardless, both builds are still very powerful, and it's great to see Destroyer Oil actually have a useful application. And I recommend you give this new playstyle a try. That is all I have for this video. If there's something you want to add, leave a comment down below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, and I'll see you next time.